The diner was quiet, just the low clatter of cutlery and hum of conversations, when the shouting started. "Did you just give him free food?" The manager's voice cut through the room like a whip. Denise, the waitress, stood frozen, napkins still in her hand. Across from her sat an elderly man in a faded military jacket, thin, weary, eyes wide in embarrassment. The manager's face was red with anger. "He didn't pay, did he? You gave it to him. That's theft. You're fired." The room went silent. Forks hovered in midair. Denise's voice trembled. "He's a veteran. He hadn't eaten in 2 days." But the manager didn't care. "This isn't a soup kitchen. It's a business. Pack your things." He stormed off, but something was shifting in the room. A quiet tension. An invisible line had been crossed. And no one, not Denise, not the veteran, not even the manager, was prepared for what happened next. Rewind 10 minutes earlier. Denise was wiping down a booth when she noticed the man come in. His jacket caught her eye. Old military patches, sleeves too big, and hands that shook when he picked up the menu. He looked tired. Not just tired, defeated. The kind of tired that goes deeper than the bones. She approached gently. "Coffee, sir?" He nodded, avoiding eye contact. His voice, when it came, was gravelly. "Just water." Denise smiled softly. "I'll be right back." She poured him coffee anyway, then brought him a plate, eggs, toast, and bacon. He blinked, confused. "It's on me," she said. "Eat while it's hot." He hesitated, then dug in like a man who hadn't eaten in days. From the corner of the diner, the manager had been watching. He walked over, fast and loud. "Did you just give him food?" Denise turned, startled. "Yes, You didn't bring it in. That's theft." "He hasn't eaten in 2 days," she said. The veteran froze, a piece of toast halfway to his mouth. The manager leaned in, eyes hard. "You're fired." Denise's face fell. The old man lowered his head, visibly ashamed. Every eye in the diner was on them now. The moment thickened, but Denise didn't back down. "I'm not sorry," she said. "I saw someone hungry, and I helped. That's what decent people do." His name was Sergeant Thomas Riley. 3 tours in Vietnam, Silver Star recipient, a man who once jumped from helicopters into jungle hell, dragged wounded brothers out under fire, and came home to a country that barely looked at him. Decades later, life had unraveled. His wife had passed. His body had betrayed him. The medal sat in a shoebox while he bounced between shelters. Most days he was invisible. People walked past him like he was part of the sidewalk. But inside that diner, for a fleeting moment, someone saw him. Denise hadn't asked for his service record. She just saw his shaking hands and hollow cheeks and decided he didn't need to be invisible anymore. He didn't want charity. He hadn't even asked. But when she placed that plate down in front of him, it wasn't just food. It was dignity. It was warmth. It was someone saying, "I see you. You still matter." And that was everything. The manager's voice echoed like a slap across the diner. "You're fired. Get out." Denise stood frozen. Her heart pounded. She wasn't trying to cause a scene. She had only wanted to help. The veteran pushed his plate back, ashamed. "I'm sorry," he mumbled. A woman gasped. A phone lifted to record. Customers glanced at each other, uncertain. No one spoke, until someone moved. From the back booth, a tall man stood. Then another, then 2 more. 4 in total, civilian clothes but unmistakably military in posture, broad-shouldered, calm, focused. They didn't make a sound as they walked to the front. They just stood there, forming a quiet line behind Denise and the veteran. The air shifted. The first man, tattoos peeking out from under his rolled-up sleeves, spoke. "You're making a mistake." The manager turned, flustered. "Excuse me? Who are you?" "We're Marine," the man said. "And he's Sergeant Thomas Riley, Vietnam. 3 tours. Silver Star." The diner held its breath. The manager blinked, but the ground beneath him was already slipping away. He tried to stand his ground, but respect had already left the room, and it wasn't coming back. The Marine with the tattoos didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence carried the weight of 1,000 battlefields. "He didn't ask for anything," Denise whispered, still in shock. "I just saw his hands shaking when he looked at the menu. I couldn't walk past that." Other Marine stepped forward, older than the rest. This man fought for this country before most of us were even born, he said. And you think she did something wrong? For showing basic human decency? He reached into his wallet and pulled out a wad of bills. He placed them on the counter. His meal, her shift, covered. The manager's face twitched, lips tight. He glanced around, but the room was no longer with him. People were whispering, pulling out their phones. One woman was crying. A third Marine leaned down to Sergeant Riley. "Sir, would you honor us by sitting with us today?" The old man tried to speak, but emotion stole his voice. He nodded. They guided him to a booth by the window, seat of honor. Denise stood still, fists clenched, unsure what to do now that her job was gone. The final Marine, quiet all this time, stepped forward. He shook her hand, firm and respectful. "You didn't just serve food today," he said. "You served honor. That matters." Then he turned, sat beside Sergeant Riley, and the four Marines began to talk and laugh, like brothers reunited. Not one of them touched a phone. They were present. They were home. What happened next couldn't have been scripted. A man at a nearby table stood up, voice clear. "Who wants to make sure this man never goes hungry again?" Wallets opened. Bills landed on the counter. One customer left a $100 tip. Another handed Denise a business card. "We're hiring." An older woman walked up and hugged Sergeant Riley. "You remind me of my dad," she said, wiping a tear. People began clapping. Softly at first, then louder. Denise blinked, overwhelmed. A minute ago, she had lost her job. Now she was surrounded by strangers who treated her like a hero. The manager tried to speak, but no one listened. He was no longer the center of the room. The heart had moved elsewhere. It was with the waitress, the veteran, and the four Marines who stood for something bigger than rules. That moment, the energy, the unity, was electric. It was what happens when people choose compassion over protocol, humanity over hierarchy. The video of the incident went viral, 10 million views in 24 hours. But people didn't share it because they were outraged. They shared it because they were moved. Because in a world starved for kindness, one woman's small act had cracked something open. The diner's corporate office issued a statement the next morning. They apologized. The manager was let go. Denise was offered her job back. She politely declined. By noon, she had 6 job offers from local businesses. One coffee shop owner said, "I want people like you on my team." Sergeant Riley didn't return to the shelter that night. A local nonprofit stepped in, offering him housing and medical care. He now had a bed, a bathroom, and a door he could lock. The Marines? They kept their word. They visited Riley weekly, sometimes bringing food, sometimes just bringing time. The story had reached across the internet, but its real power was felt in that small diner, in the quiet courage of one woman who chose to do the right thing, even when it cost her everything. Today, Denise runs her own food truck. It's called The Second Serving, and every veteran eats for free. She parks it near VA hospitals, shelters, and community centers. Not for profit, but because one act of kindness changed her life, and now she's paying it forward. Sergeant Riley helps out sometimes, serving coffee, wiping tables, smiling in a way he hadn't in years. The Marines stop by when they can. They sit, share stories, and laugh. Sometimes they just stand nearby, quietly watching the ripple they helped create. Denise says it still hits her sometimes. How one plate of food became a movement. How losing a job became finding a calling. And how 4 strangers stood between right and wrong and chose right. In a world where kindness is often punished, this story reminds us of something powerful. That compassion still matters. That dignity can be served on a plate. And that sometimes the smallest gesture changes everything. Denise didn't ask for praise. Sergeant Riley didn't ask for help. But decency isn't about what's asked. It's about what's offered. So if this story moved you, let it move you to act. Subscribe for more real stories that restore faith in humanity. Hit that like button, drop a heart or a karma in the comments, and share this with someone who needs to believe in good again. Because somewhere out there, someone like Denise is still standing up, and someone like Riley is still waiting to be seen.